What's going on, friends in film fandom? Welcome back once again to The Harsh Truth. And we're going to keep the horror train rolling. And we're back talking about The Children of the Corn from, small correction, it's not 1894, but, that'd be kind of wild if there was the ability to do this in that year. But, religion does funny things to people. But anyway. Here once again, of course, to talk about it with us. Obviously, Frank is not here, but he'll be here eventually once he makes his way through the corn or through whatever back roads he's trying to get through.
We sacrificed him. He's not coming back. This is our channel now. So.
he's one of them now. But anyway, I couldn't think of two better people to do this with. First of all, the always wonderful Lady Cora. How are you doing?
I'm good, and I have a story for you. I'll keep it short. So I was teasing you about house problems with a new house. My AC went out Memorial Day weekend, and it took 4 days to get back, and just in time for a heat wave here. And let me tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10 of house problems, it was like a 9.5. And I'm not going to tease you about house stuff because I just went through some shit. So, yeah.
No, I've definitely been there. I think that happened to me a few years ago when there was a heat wave, and I had absolutely no AC, no nothing. So. I'm not going to give everybody the image, but I was without apparel, just laying on a bed with a fan.
Our fan wasn't even working. The fan system wouldn't even run.
Oh, okay. No, I at least had a fan, but it wasn't really helping. So honestly, it was
we had plug-in fans, but the house fan wouldn't even run. And I had to call a contractor and a plumber and then have the AC people come back. It was a charade. So I'm happy to have AC, and I don't even care about the 111 heat wave coming to Vegas in a couple days. So just happy to be here.
Well, someone else who's out there also, somebody who is used to all this heat is Tex, or as he is now officially been dubbed, Texakai. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, as per the review goes, I got to keep the name fresh for the review. But hearing all of y'all's AC problems makes me really happy why I go low tech, and I just go with window units and ceiling fans. God bless. So, it may not be as effective house wide, but if one goes out, it's easier to change and no contractor needed. It's just a trip to Home Depot or Lowe's. So, it's fine. But it's all good.
It keeps all those right next to the chainsaws.
Hey, you know what? Hey, chainsaws and air conditioners in the state of Texas, we take that shit seriously, by God. We don't play when it comes to that shit.
That and propane, I believe it is. And propane.
No, I don't believe in propane. Unlike Hank Hill, which he's a good Texan as well, but I'm a charcoal guy. I mean, that's a whole different debate. I'm a charcoal guy, but it's all good.
That's a whole different podcast. Anyway, like I said, we're here. That is not the right picture, but we're going to go with it. We're here today talking about the 1984 movie Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn, advertised as Stephen King's Children of the Corn, is a 1984 American supernatural horror film based on Stephen King's 1977 short story of the same name. Directed by Fritz Kiersch, the film stars Peter Horton, Linda Hamilton, John Franklin, and Courtney Gains. Set in the fictitious rural town of Gatlin, Nebraska, the film tells the story of a malevolent entity referred to as He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which entices the town's children to ritually murder all of the town's adults, as well as a couple driving across the country to ensure a successful corn harvest. Typical stuff, King wrote the original draft of the screenplay, which focused more on the characters of Bert and Vicky, depicted more history of the ugly crap. This script was disregarded in favor of George Goldsmith's screenplay, which featured more violence and a more conventional narrative structure. The film was a financial success, however, making over $14 million against its reported budget of just $800,000. Holy crap. On Rotten Tomatoes, Children of the Corn holds a 39% approval rating based on 33 critic reviews with an average rating of 4.4 out of 10. The consensus reads, The Children of the Corn's strong premise and beginning gets shucked away for a kiddie thriller that runs in circles. Which I'm sure I know somebody is going to say the same thing.
I think that's being a little too nice to this piece of shit, but I'll get into that later.
Okay, well, I'll let Cora go first. What are your quick thoughts about this movie just off the bat?
Well, first of all, I've never seen this movie until today, so I don't really like Stephen King all that much. I do like that recent one he did about this. It's more of a fairy tale fantasy. It's very much not horror, but it was okay. I mean, it was stupid to me in a lot of ways. It wasn't scary. It was just like, huh? I felt like there were, I felt like I needed to know more to understand it. But it was basically made well, had a nice soundtrack, and the acting was good, and the plot moved decently. But it was okay. That's what I would say.
All right. And I know this movie's biggest fan over here, Tex, is just foaming at the mouth to tell me what he thinks about it. What did you think about it? Just overall, just your quick thought.
When the book that this is based on is only like 50 or 60 pages, you're probably not going to get a very good film out of it. I mean, you need a little more meat to chew on here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Like, there's like 10 or 11 of these Children of the Corn movies, and I don't know how. I've seen about half of them, and oh yeah, they're bad. Oh
so,
yeah.
Wait. So it's just like the Tremor one and other movies that just have.
No, Tremors is fun. Tremors knows it's a bad series, and they have fun with it. Children of the Corn is just pretentious garbage that nobody should ever watch again.
I've never heard you call a movie pretentious garbage. This is a new thing.
Oh yeah, you have, don't get me started. Either way, no, this is, if you like watching people walk around or corn, this movie's great. Other than that, I don't have much for you. So, what are you going to do?
Well, as for myself, I mean, I've probably not seen this for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I was probably still in high school. Just one of those, times I watched a horror movie and was on some weird horror kick. Because that's what we did in the early 2000s. As we've mentioned so many times, I was in that little sweet spot of like being in middle school, high school, when these early 2000s movies just went off. So, but you start to go back and like look at some of the ones that, from the 90s, from the 80s, stuff like that. And I enjoyed this one, honestly. There's a long running joke that like that's what my quote came from, is I'm telling you that like Ohio is also not a real place. This is what this movie reminds me of. I know this is Nebraska, but Nebraska's not real either. Like, let's be honest. Neither is like Kansas or anything like that. But I always say, like, we're the children of the corn. You know what I mean? Like, you go into the wrong field of corn. Trust me, you're either not coming out or you're going to find something you wish you hadn't.
Well, there was a girl in Kansas who was murdered and her body was found in a field of corn after she went jogging.
At least it wasn't a pig farm. I mean, that's, you stumble on the wrong farmhouse, too. We all know how that goes.
If it was a pig farm, they ain't finding nothing but teeth, buddy. But
maybe not even that. I mean, they eat like...
I didn't know pigs would eat like that until I saw the Hannibal Lecter movies, and that creeped me out so fucking bad.
Why do you think I both have a pig and know people with other pigs, just in case? You never can tell.
Yep. Nobody go to Texas house.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody go... If you just see... any state that you drive through and you just have, corn on the left, corn on the right, trust me, just best to keep on driving. You don't want to find out. Okay.
I do want to interject on that remark. Okay. I've seen enough horror films, and Jeremy, I know you haven't really come back me up on this. If you're ever in a rural place and you run somebody over, even if you're guilty, do not stop and try to do the right thing, because it will lead to your death. You just hide the body and keep going.
Is this a how to kill somebody and get away with it, or a movie review?
No, he's gonna make a book like OJ. It's like, well, if we did do this,
this is how not to get killed. Like when you're driving in a backwoods area and there's a stranger on the road, boom, boom, and you run them over. You just keep going because you know that the small town sheriff is going to be corrupt. There's probably a cannibalistic family that's going to eat you and cut you with a chainsaw, and/or radioactive hillbillies in the hills have eyes. It never ends well. Just keep driving.
Bachelor and not have to watch anything scary.
Yeah,
that's scary. That's the most scary thing I've ever heard of. A bunch of women talking about their feelings. No, thank you. I have no time for that.
Man, wait till I tell.
That's frightening.
I know side rant, but we've talked about Fallout on this channel. Wait till I tell Tex about the one vault that's 999 women and one guy. Could you imagine being that guy?
No, thank you. No.
Yeah, that's one of them.
There's one. That sounds great.
There's one where it's flipped. It's one woman and 900.
Are they alive or are they all dead?
Oh no, they're alive. That's how they sorted the people out, or a lack thereof. And
whenever I'm president, it will be illegal for any gathering to have any more than 3 women at the same time. That will be a law whenever I'm ruler over here. So just prepare yourself. So it's fine.
Oh, God damn it. All right. Before we start talking about people that are probably better for this country in the next couple months than 2 people who I'm not going to name.
37 is a beautiful number, Jeremy.
Look. All right.
I'm saying I love the number 37.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get to the cast of this movie. And I don't know, we got, you know what, I'm surprised Tex didn't put on like a redheaded wig or something to really sell the Malachi bit.
Or come in holding up a corn cross.
Yeah.
Gingers have no soul, and I couldn't go that far. I can't.
Anyway, we got the likes of Peter Horton, Linda Hamilton, who obviously we all know very well as Sarah Connor in the Terminator series, John Franklin and Courtney Gains, who is the redhead there with the wispy locks.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of cast, I mean, it's not like it's a huge cast. There's a whole bunch of kids that, you know, are not necessarily fodder, but you know, they're there for the murder. But go to you first, Cora. What did you think of the cast, or at least maybe the acting in general? Like, what did you think?
Well, the kids were pretty good actors, especially the younger ones, the ones that end up walking out. It's very believable that they're living in that world. You know, especially the moment at the beginning when they're sitting at their old house and Malachi walks in, and the kid who played John Isaac, who played John Franklin, who played Isaac. Yeah. He played that role as if he was an adult running a cult. Very impressive. And Linda Hamilton, well, you know she's fantastic. What?
Oh, come on.
He's got the stupidest hat in all of horror, by the way.
Have you ever seen an Amish person ever? Like,
no.
How deep in the corn have you been? I'm
the old guy in the old creepy guy from Poltergeist 2 can pull that hat off.
And what about Johnny Depp in that movie where he's a killer and he wears his hat?
There it is.
Johnny Depp.
He played a killer in a movie where he plays.
He's just an overall
writer
weirdo.
And he kills his wife and he wears that hat and he eats corn all the time. So maybe it's an homage to this.
Maybe it's a shared universe. What do you? All right, I'll go to you next then, Tex. So what do you think? Other than apparently his hat is a negative. What do you think?
We got
Linda Hamilton. Come on.
Well, see, I can put together a pretty believable multiverse theory where this is actually Sarah Connor just hiding from the Terminators in the middle of Nebraska nowhere. But that's beside the point. But no, one of my favorite tropes in films of this era is the crazy old coot that warns you guy. Kind of like the crazy Ralph of the group, or the, you know, for whichever horror franchise it may be, and that's R.G. Armstrong is Deal in this movie. You know, he's he's obviously he's the only adult besides Sarah Connor and her Skeletor-looking husband dude. I forget what his name is, Bird or whatever it was. But R.G. Armstrong as Deal in this film. We didn't get him for long, but I really enjoyed the conversations he's having with the dog, and the dog's like bringing the correct size wrench to it. I thought that was so fun in the middle of this movie. He was like, "No, man, once we get this transmission done, then we'll get that radiator fixed. No, give me a 7. Just make it an 8. I think that'll fix it." He's full on talking to this dog like he's going to respond back to it, and obviously he succumbs pretty quickly. But R.G. Armstrong, he's kind of a character actor kind of face. He did a lot of westerns. He was in a Clint Howard movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called Evil Speak. About this, it's like it takes place at a military academy from back in the late '80s. Another fun film. But yeah, R.G. Armstrong, he's fun in this movie. He's talking to the corn, and I didn't tell him. I kept our deal, and then he eats it and finds his dog's bandana on the intake manifold. Rip.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to read comments. Hold on. I'm trying to do the this is what I say when I'm not kidding that I'm a terrible content creator, but I'm just faking it till we make it.
You're doing fine. We're talking. What you mentioned that scene text of when he was talking to the dog. Before you see the dog, I'm expecting one of the kids just to be handing him the wrenches, and then a dog shows up, and I'm like, "What?" That's
what makes it so funny. Is he's laying under the truck. He's laying it under the wheel well, and dag nabbit and working on it and doing his thing, which you can tell he's not really. Number one, if you're working on the transmission, you're not going to be laying on the outside. You're underneath the transmission's in the middle of that thing.
And is that truck even drivable? I mean, it looks like even like it would just fall apart.
I mean, it's almost like he's just a farce, like just to redirect people. But
right, I mean, he's probably been tinkering on that thing for the last 3 years, considering Well, I mean, the kids even say the only reason he's alive is because he has their fuel. So, if it wasn't for that, he would have been dead. But I guess that deal, I guess old Malachi didn't like that arrangement anymore. And, but yeah. So,
yeah. I'd say for me, obviously the biggest, person that stuck out to me was obviously Sarah Connor. And I'm just going to, I can't help that the little girl's name was Sarah, and I'm like, this is the same year this movie. Like, come on, how do you not? If you had told me this like smiley bastard here was Kyle Reese, I mean, I'd probably slap you because I don't believe you. But he's no Michael Biehn. Linda Hamilton's obviously the obvious one for me. I would have just said the dog. I don't know if we have a picture of the dog, but. This is unfortunately
the kid that played Job was pretty good. Yeah, especially right there at the end of the movie. He's like, "No, throw it the right way this time." He's like, giving him shit and everything else. He was pretty good.
Job was a little smart ass. I kind of liked it. Like Cora was saying, the two youngest kids, especially. It's like you're kind of amazed that the kids in this movie act as well as they do. I mean, there's acting like kids, but then there's acting like kids that are a bunch of like cultists in the cornfields about to sacrifice you like some Wicker Man style. Like Nick Cage comes in screaming about some bees or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? And especially like I said with Isaac, like that kid's crazy good. Like he feels like you kind of forget he's even a kid. That he feels like some sort of he's been whispered in his ear by some higher power allegedly, and now he's the leader of this cult. So, This film is like a love child of Lord of the Flies meets the Wicker Man. That's basically exactly what we found. Yeah, it's pretty much, I mean, like if you were to blend those two, this is what you would get, and it's an interesting premise. There's just not enough meat on the bone. The kids aren't scary. I mean, whenever Isaac is preaching, go back and watch that scene where
You know, all the kids are chanting. Half of them are looking right in the camera, like, "Okay, what do we
Yeah.
do here?" Because they're just extras. They have no believable what. And Malachi, Jesus, that his daddy needed to get a belt on his ass and just wear him out. I can't stand
Well,
that kid. He
killed
was
him. He killed him too soon. He never got the chance.
right. Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's
I
what I'm
guess.
saying. What? Hey, you can see my tagline: "Spare the rod, spoil the child." By God, so start beating their ass. Whatever.
I guess that's a good segue into the plot. So the plot's pretty I guess kind of straightforward, really. You got I
Yeah.
mean that's a if that screenshot right there doesn't kind of sum that up. I mean, really. You got two people just trying to drive cross country to go to some job somewhere. It's not really important. But neither is Bert because I just didn't care. But they come across I don't remember the kid's name, but he was standing in the middle of the street after having his throat slit. I almost said that wrong. And like a deer in the headlights, he got Texas chainsawed right into the pavement by these two. And like Tex said, I mean, I wasn't around in 1984, but I know even then there's no cell phone, there's no like the cook said, like there's no phone here. There's no phone anywhere, especially in this little podunk town of like 3 people. Although I feel like that sign's still wrong. 986. I mean, I feel like about 900 of them died because it was all the adults. But that gets them into the weeds, if not the corn stalks, and you start having the problem of like I don't know if I just casually stick a dead child in my trunk and then drive around with him like, boy, I hope we find a phone soon or somebody, and drive to some town where you got some old coot, like I said, telling them there's no gas, there ain't no nothing, and you driving in corn that's touching both your side mirrors. I mean, maybe it's time to just turn around and just go the other way. But then again, the movie'd be over, and you wouldn't get chased around town all day,
right?
By these kids going on about a sacrifice that they need, and then this is why you don't put the redhead kid who's probably on the verge of aging out in charge, who's just probably your best fighter, but kind of hell bent on just all of the violence and none of the faith. I guess if those go hand in hand, I mean, if we're talking about the Crusades or something, but I don't know.
Well, okay, did you find any? I have a real problem with the premise of this. Okay, we're in a farm atmosphere.
What do you think about the plot? Yeah.
All the children snapped, and not one of the grown men could handle a child in a farm atmosphere with working.
A lot of kids.
They weren't expecting it. They poisoned a lot of them to begin with.
Okay, but that might, yes. In the beginning, I can believe that, but when they start attacking, look over in the coffee shop. All of those adults are being attacked. Let's defend ourselves. Like, I don't think the premise is good enough to hold now, obviously, box office says I'm wrong, and 10 plus movies, show whatever. Mm-hmm. But to me, as a whole, the premise is very weak. I mean, it's like I said earlier. The book that this is based on is only like 50 or 60 pages. So there's not a lot to this. That's why this film, you get a lot of driving around. Oh, I thought I saw something. Let me walk through the field. Even when his wife, Sarah Connor, has been kidnapped, he's just aimlessly walking around. Like, seriously, dude, you're not even like upset a little bit. But this is a very weak premise. And I mean, that's coming from somebody that half of the movies I watch are, this guy went crazy and put a mask on, so that's saying something, but whatever.
Cora, what do you think of the plot? Did it work for you, or is there more that could have been bitten off the ear of corn? Or I'm just going to keep the corn puns going.
I wish they had shown something of this supernatural force, like whispering into the kids' ears before they went into. I mean, they could have done it after the adults die, but before they go into present day. Like I know they're trying to, hide the monster, in other movies where they don't want to show the monster till you really get into the movie. But I just feel like the plot had a hole in it. So like I wish there was more to explain it rather than, oh, there's this thing and you just got to burn the corn and then it dies. And it's a tremor thing. It can go through the ground like a giant mole chasing you on crack. You know,
giant mole on crack. That's a whole nother movie I want to see right there. That'd be great.
You know what? It probably is, and we could probably make it. I think even.
Hey,
oh hell,
I'm down. I'm down.
I think Van said, "Tex, we should make a low budget horror movie. You got tons of ideas." And honestly, it's not like
I've got so many ideas.
It's not like we couldn't. I mean, honestly, there's.
I've got so many ideas.
I feel like this picture here is one of those like 9/11 pictures where like, don't you see the devil face in the smoke? Like, no, I don't.
It's one of those pictures that some douche puts up. Like, well, if you look really hard into the center of it, then it appears. But there's never any of that. It's like was it Mallrats where they have that boat painting that guy can't see or whatever? Yeah, it's one of those kind of things.
It's a sailboat. You don't see it.
Like everybody else sees it, but him.
Right. I mean, what if you had some little kid come to you like this? Like, don't you see? You know, you tilt your head to the side. You really got to understand the picture. You just got to feel the art coming through.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
One thing I was going to add to what Cora was saying though, what would y'all think if instead of the children killed all of the adults, the supernatural demon out behind the corn killed all of it, and then the children became believers of this entity?
Would that have made this better or worse? 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Like if the kids were
wouldn't that have been a better premise?
Yeah, if the kids were witness to the supernatural force killing all the adults right in front of them, then all of a sudden they revere and they're scared of this thing. Oh, 100%.
Oh, wait, I know how you could make
I think would have been a better deal.
I think the best way to get them to really, because again, you're trying to kill a town of, what was it, like 900 some people? This isn't exactly the Midwest. I mean, this is the middle of the country.
Hi, Frank. Frank's in the chat.
I see Frank.
What's up, Frank?
You could totally believe that there's some big storm a brewing, and the sky's getting real weird, and all those adults, from the Midwest, you go outside and you go out and you walk and you just watch it, and then boom, now you got everybody in town square, and then kill them all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you
that's what I'm saying. Just have the supernatural
thing. Watch the pretty clouds, and then you're gonna die for it.
Yeah.
So
because it would do two things. One, it's a more believable plot, but two, it raises the stakes for the scary thing behind the corn back there, because it literally wiped out everybody above the age of 18. And like now we're dealing with something scary, not kids gone wrong that need their ass whooped. But I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I kind of agree with the thing I read earlier where it's like, I mean, the beginning of the film had a pretty hell of an opening. Like you just have all these kids that just one little nod and you're like, oh, what are you doing? And then they all just synchronize, pull these knives and just lock the door and kill all these adults in the little diner. And I'm like, holy good God, like in front of some of the kids too. And then they obviously took some of them.
Can I just say how Midwest you sound saying holy good God? Just saying.
Well, I said it, didn't I?
I know. I love it.
I am in fact a children of the corn. If I start going a little too far, like don't you know? Like
I know if you said that with Gina J's accent, man, that would have been woo.
Yeah,
very Midwest.
Somebody's gonna think I'm Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm definitely not from the same state. Anyway, I tell you, it's not a real place. It's not a place you want. That should be my line. It's not a real place, and it's not a place you want to be. That's the new slogan for this state. But yeah, I have a problem with movies that do that, where it's like the beginning. You want to catch your audience's attention. So inherently, I mean, the thing about this is like it's kids. This is kids doing murdering, if not to adults, but also to each other.
Yeah.
Or to other people that they come across.
That whole thing about when they're they don't touch on it enough. That thing about they kill themselves when they're 19. Like how many kids died? Like there's this old sci-fi movie, I forget what it's called, where it's this dystopian society and they all die at 30. And that's weird. Yeah, and because they can it's from the 70s, and they can only have so they think they're like winning a lottery to go to some special place, but really they just end up getting murdered. They're running around in like Greek robes and shit. It reminded me of that.
There's a since I'm always the video game person, there's the ritzy, of course it's always the ritzy, like overly polished rich planet in Outer Worlds. And you see it right when you land. You come in and there's like it's a space, space game. So but like you see like the typical, door comes up and then it's got arrows pointing to the left, and it says like this is to the town, right? And then it says down to the left, excuse me, it says retirement. So like that's the retirement like part of the city and you already know. Like, we've seen. You're right. No one goes in there. It's locked. You don't go in there unless you're of that age or you reach that point, whatever it is.
Yeah.
No one else knows what it is. You just know, like, yeah, you retired and you go in there, and then that's relive the rest of your life. I'm like, right. As soon as you walk through the door and you get killed.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm like, you go in there, and I knew what it was. I'm like, some lady's like, oh yeah, they're hiding something in there. I'm like, yeah, bodies, lady. Like what? and of course they're the rich pricks, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and go in and retire early? I told her to screw off. I was like, go ahead, go in there, because I saw the bodies and I almost died myself. But
yeah,
it's something like that where you're going to or also in Fallout, you go to the Great Beyond. I'm like, yeah, the Great Beyond is you go into a spaceship and you explode, and I mean, yeah, you're not in this plane anymore.
Oh, nice.
It was a bunch of ghouls. I mean, if we've seen Fallout now, it was a bunch of ghouls. The ones that weren't like the one in the show, like Walton Goggins, not the feral ones. And they were religious fanatics too. Actually, now that I think about it, like we're gonna go to the Great Beyond. He sounds so goddamn creepy.
Well, even if
you can sabotage the ship or you can choose to help them, but I'm like, you're going in the sky, dude, and you're not coming back either way. So,
if Walton Goggins, if he didn't get that shot, he would have went feral, right? Like that's why he carried that shit around.
Yeah, because you don't want to start losing your mind and who you are. And
yeah,
I mean, that's So the feral ones are basically like your typical zombie. So, but then there are ghouls that are just sentient.
That's why they brought the chicken, because if they go after the chicken, then or whatever, something like that. I can't remember
exactly. But now that we've like I guess the plot and my last thought is, I mean, yeah, it worked, but I think we all kind of agree, at least it had a good idea. Unfortunately enough to warrant like 50 sequels and remakes, but I don't know.
That's what's so weird. Like,
I don't know.
I think the only reason why this has so many sequels is because you can make this movie for $15 and a hot dog. I mean, it takes nothing. Seriously.
Wait.
Your monster is corn.
Don't you mean a corn dog?
Or a corn dog, either way. Seriously, you're scary. Have somebody go back behind some corn stalks and shake them back and forth. There's your monster. You don't need to see anything else. So,
I guess
other than that, it's kids looking creepily into the camera. That's all of it. That's why they made 10 of these. They're cheap.
I
guess that's a good. That's a hell of a segue of just grabbing some corn and shaking it. Let's talk about the effects in this movie.
Yeah.
Which that may kind of be it.
It's fine.
I don't know. I'll go. Cora, what do you think of the effects in this movie? It's kind of just some kills, but there's some stuff that
it reminds me of just some like Quantum Leap kind of shit, like where they have an overlay of graphic, like when Sam's transitioning and coming in and out of a space. I don't know. It was okay. I mean, they had to do something to indicate it's supernatural. Otherwise, the first hint, I guess, was when the old man saw the wind coming and the dogs barking out in the field, and I don't know. It was okay. I mean, it could have been worse, a lot worse for 1984. Let's be honest. There have been movies that were made long after with worse. So, I mean, it's impressive for 1984, but it was okay.
All right, and I'll go to text and I'll pick the best effects shot in the entire movie. So, what do you think about the effects text? Even for 1984, does this work, or is this kind of goofy? Even if you have it in freeze frame like that?
Goofy is like goofy, cheesy. Pick your favorite line. It fits here. Like realistically, the effects, like like Cora touched on in the beginning, like when the spooky demon corn monster is underground moving around like one of the Tremors. That looks great.
It looked like some Bugs Bunny shit. I couldn't take it seriously. I'm like, is he going to come out and be like, I took a wrong turn at Gatlin or whatever the hell?
Right. He's like, yeah, what's up, Doc?
Right.
He goes back, goes with. But like that looks really cool. In the opening of the film, where you see like some of the people getting cut, some of those cuts look really well, but half of them are like, okay, this is obviously a fake blade with red ink on it that we're just going to rub on your skin, and it's going to look like water paint, on your chest or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, I guess Tom Savini wasn't available to do this. I guess he was working on Friday the 13th by this point, so they did the best with what they had, whatever. But it's a mixed bag for me. The shots of the corn monster look cool. I mean, even though we don't see it until like the fourth or the fifth movie, I can't remember. And it's I mean, it's an '80s horror film. We're not everything is going to look like Terminator.
Do you know what I love about it, Tex? There's no tits in it.
Yeah. See,
I didn't want to say
why
it.
is this
I hate this damn movie. I'm like, well, I can tell you why for two reasons.
It's fantastic. You're
okay.
humble.
Just
not everything
all
has
cards on the
tits
table
in it.
All right.
No.
What you got?
Anything that doesn't have them is a automatic half-star deduction as per the Joe Bob Briggs rule book. That is what I go by. But either way, like, why was this thing rated R? It wasn't for over-the-top violence. It wasn't, I mean, this is what I'm saying. like, why was this an R? I mean, there was no nudity. There
maybe
wasn't,
the supernatural.
in it.
Well, maybe the idea that children murdered adults, like, is an upsetting thing for religious reasons. Like, this could upset people.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
this was like, well, Nightmare on Elm Street it came out the same year that this did. Friday the 13th was already up and going.
Yeah.
So you had 1,000 other Texas Chainsaw knockoffs, Halloween, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know why this was an R. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. This is a very boring movie.
I was looking it up, and I was trying to remember what year. Speaking of Stephen King, Cujo came out the year before this, and I'm like, that I could understand being R, because that movie is horrifying. Like, you got this big Saint Bernard just all bloody and pus coming out of his eyes, and like you know what I mean? Like that I could understand. But like Tex said, like it is kind of. I mean, I get it. I'm in this this world. I know what they did. Like he said, you put a little bit of red corn syrup on the edge of a blade, and you just rub it down someone's face, and it looks like they got cut, and then somebody rushes in and actually
exactly what it looks like
on your face. Yeah. So I get it, but I'm just saying there are other, like, throughout the 80s, there's other like Stephen King movies that still do this miles better. I don't know if it's just who they had or it's a budget thing, but I'm like, you could have maybe made it a lot more believable. There's not really a whole lot of spectacular I mean, it's a lot of cuts and stabs and stuff like that, but
there's a lot of and this film is another one of those, a lot of kills happen off screen where you don't see. And I hate when movies do that. Don't just show me that, like, maybe once or twice for shock factor, but if I'm coming to a movie where I know people are going to get hacked up, I want to see it happen. I don't just want to see the after effect 15 times, because then there's no stakes. It doesn't, it's very blah. But I don't know. I don't like it.
I would say probably one of the cooler, maybe not necessarily effects, but makeup. I'm glad he has a picture of it. Is Isaac after he?
Oh, the zombie.
Weird, yeah,
that does look cool. Yeah,
Malachi, he wants you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when Malachi. That right there is when Malachi realized he screwed up. That's kind of a cool. I like his look. I liked his look with the like little pinstripe, like all black suit and stuff like that. But man, when he comes back and he's just like zombified, his hair's up, it's gray, and he's just he's got that voice telling, and you realize all the other kids ran away. It's like you almost believed in it, and then you're like, oh no, this got real. Okay, goodbye. We're not dealing with this. That right there was kind of cool. Again, just this kid right here knocks it out of the park, just in terms of acting, and he got the coolest look, is what I'm saying. Like that is pretty awesome. I don't know what this picture is. Oh yeah, he went from. I don't know what this Uncle Sam picture is, fourth wall break, but there's that. Anybody who looks like that and then comes back looking like this is
right.
Creepy. Yeah, I could next point here. I guess we've kind of touched on it a few times. Is this just yet another franchise ruined by multiple unneeded sequels? And I guess I could say / remakes. Tex, what do you think? I know what you think. Like, do you think it was ruined? Too many corns in the field, I think.
As I referred to it, to you the other day, they beat this dead horse to a pile of goo. Like there's no solids left. The carcass has been picked clean. Yeah. Now they've done this. I think there's 10. I believe is the number. I counted the other day, but I forgot. I've seen 5 to 6 of them. Like there's been a couple big names that started in this franchise. Charlize Theron and Eva Mendes both started in this franchise. This was like one of their first movies that they ever did. But yeah, they've done like kind of more of a slashery version in the early 2000s. That's one of the ones I've seen. I think that one was 5. I think that was the 5th part. I can't remember. But yeah, no, they've tried to do this movie every which way, but upside down. And it's a weak premise.
Do they ever make it more interesting, or is it just more the same stupid?
Well, interesting is that varies from person to person. I mean, okay. it's what you want it to be, but they're all low budget. Nobody asked for these things. Like they redid this, and I want to say in 2022 or 23, and I think the Rotten Tomatoes was like 2%. Like it was bad. It was horrible. Nobody like. I don't even think it got a theatrical release. It was just like dumped onto a streaming service somewhere. But yeah, no, they have milked this cow dry.
Was it 2020?
It could have been 2020. I know it was in the
2020s. I love Google, but I'm sitting here typing in 2020, and I didn't put the last number in. It says 2023, 2020 film. Like. Well, which is it? Like,
it was in the 2020. Whichever one that is the one I'm talking about. It's the last one that they've done, and it's just they have, like I said, they have wrung the rag dry with this franchise, and nobody really cares because it's like I said, the premise is. Yeah,
maybe this is.
It's not. I mean, once again, there's a reason why this makes for a really good short story, but not a 90-minute film. If you want to do 90 minutes of this, you're going to get a lot of driving around. Oh, we're lost. I mean, how many times do we need to see the Gatlin 2-mile sign to know that we've been lost? We don't get it about 14 times.
And you're wondering, how the fuck do these children install all these signs? Like digging a hole, putting a post in with cement.
Well, it's kids, scary kids work in horror when they're possessed by the devil, like in The Omen or something, or like something along those lines. But a town full of scary, it's just not believable that a town full of children killed literally every strong working farm man around there. Nobody could defend themselves.
And only one cop came to town to wonder why nobody's heard from anybody in Gatlin.
Right, like does nobody have relatives that haven't heard from Jim and Sue for a while. Well, let's go drive over and check on them. Like nobody does this.
Unless they just kept killing everybody.
This works better in short, not long form. But whatever.
I guess I can't really ask Cora because I assume you haven't seen the rest of these since you just watched this today.
So you just watched this one?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen all of these either, but like,
I wouldn't watch a sequel. If that answers any of your questions.
Don't waste your time.
That's what I'm saying is I think it had a good idea. And then sometimes you that can work, but it doesn't work when you keep trying to it doesn't quite capture it the same way. Maybe this should have, like we said, be a little more fleshed out and explained, and it could have worked on its own.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mentioned.
I'll tell you how this works. In 22 minutes as a Twilight Zone episode. That's how this would work.
That's a good.
Because if you just did a half-hour show, 8 minutes of commercials, that means we've only got 22 minutes to fill up. That X-nays all of this running around, just blood nonsense. You can get a decent Twilight Zone episode out of this. That's how you got it.
You got Rod Sterling walking out the end, like, picture, if you will, a world where there's nothing but children. In this
Could you imagine Rod Sterling?
You know what I mean?
The end of the episode, when all the corn is on fire, he walks out of the corn, lights his cigarette with the corn stalk that's on fire, and then talks. That's how you end the episode. That's how you do it.
Or we can get somebody a little more equipped to do something like this. Get Jordan Peele on it, since he was doing that reboot of that.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, he was doing something.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild, honestly. I could see this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's that one episode of Twilight Zone? Where the people on the street like start getting paranoid and shit, and they start like turning on each other. Guys, like
I know what you're
monsters are due on not Elm Street, but you know what I mean. Something like that, where they all just like kind of get paranoid and turn on each other, and it's this could be like a short horror story premise that would probably work again to have a little more fleshed out of an idea that kind of airtight. Like you said, you could run this in like a 20-minute half-hour show or something, and it could work.
Actually, I know who did this premise better. Have you seen the episode of South Park where all of the parents in the town get arrested?
I think so.
Yeah, like basically, I think it's Cartman. I think he's mad at his mom for something. It may have been one of the other kids. I can't.
That sounds like the premise for a lot of the episodes of South Park, to be fair, though.
But basically, like all of the kids in South Park start accusing their parents of doing bad things to them to get them arrested just so they can be free and have fun. And literally, like Cartman is the mayor, Butters is the town mechanic. Like all of the kids are, and then there's like a couple that just strolls into town and learns it. They did Children of the Corn better than this movie did.
That might have been what the joke was then of that episode. Not just Lord of the Flies, but that might be what they're making fun of.
It's very similar. It's literally the same story without an evil corn monster that you don't really get to
see. Yeah, but then you don't get sweet pyrotechnics like that. I mean,
right?
That's some.
Well,
some mushroom cloud.
That
effect.
may not be that bulge in the ground could have not have been a monster. It could have just been it could have been like a roaming bulge of like methane gas that was trying to escape.
Boy.
And then it finally, whenever he threw that, that Molotov cocktail out, then, you get your big fireball. But you never know.
You never know.
I mean, if you threw the damn thing right the first time, you're going to get.
Well, hey, whenever.
Kid who's like half your size.
He's got which I do have to point out, those kids did not age in 3 years. Hair didn't grow, looks didn't change, nothing. Like
the kid's hair grew because when he was sipping on his milkshake, he had like a short cut, and then like when you later he has like long.
I thought Malachi looked basically the same.
I thought he meant the little kids. Yeah,
I'm with Tex. It was like time passed or something.
Job was the only one who looked like he aged. Yeah,
Job may have changed a little bit, but the rest of them, I mean, they look the same. It's like 3 years happens, and you just obviously they didn't have the budget to age them up or whatever. But it was just like, whatever.
I feel like if they were going to do that, I feel like the way they probably shot that might have been shot last, the opening scene. They probably cut the kid's hair and then shot that. They probably kept the hair long for the majority.
It would have been the easiest way.
Yeah, you do it backwards and probably film the first scene last once you cut his hair. But like I said, still even in that shot, I mean, who knows if it was shot at the same time. Malachi's hair is still the same length, and I don't know. You got to do something about those bangs, my dude, because I know you're hiding them with a hat, but like, maybe they got their own like Maybe there's one of them that was like a sheep farmer, and he has some
A sheep
shears. And he's trying to sell. Look, I tell you don't want to know what goes on in the corn. You just don't ask questions, all right?
Oh my gosh!
Hey, if you go back and watch our Devil's, if you go back and watch our Devil's Rejects review, Candy couldn't make no money at the whorehouse because all those farmers were sending the fucking for the sheep.
And I climbed a 60-foot grain silo and was sitting on the roof of it to take pictures of sunset. Okay. And all around me were like hundreds of acres of cornfields. Nothing was going on there. Just saying.
Did you see any dead bodies?
That you could see.
Oh boy. That you could see.
You know what?
Dun dun
You
dun.
send me. How about you walk just like 5 minutes down the road and you show me all the corn stalks in Vegas, and then we'll talk.
There are no corn stalks in Vegas.
Right, so don't even. All right, exactly.
There are in South Dakota though. I drove past them all the time.
You hear the key words there.
Drove past around them. Here.
I know. I'm like, I can walk around.
I know a whole lot of people that grow feed corn that goes into animal food and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like I said,
it's everywhere.
You especially drive past the pig farmer's place because you know damn well.
Yeah. Oh boy, here we go.
He's
Frank says what happens in the corn stays.
He's in the corn.
That's oh, where the hell is it? I'm so bad at this. There we go. Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Frank, do you want us to let you out of the cornfields, or do you want to be kept there forever?
I think he's driving in circles. I think he's seen the same.
He's not a zombie yet.
You don't know that. Maybe.
That's the.
Hopefully.
Actually, before we, because I think really that's kind of it. The other thing is trivia. I want to pose this question to you guys as I was thinking about this. It says present day. I'm like, yeah, present day 1984. But I don't remember. Maybe I haven't seen the remake. Maybe I thought I did, but I got lost in the corn somewhere and thought I probably did. I mean, this movie kind of works because, again, it's out in the middle of absolute nowhere. There's no landline phones anywhere. There's obviously no cell phones, at least in the common hands of everyday John and Jane. Do you think that kind of helps in movies like this? Because if you wanted to remake it, I'm like, the big hurdle you have to explain away is even in the sticks.
What if they didn't make it in present day? What if they, made it set back in the day?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you'd have to,
like
I said, the Rednecks has a cell phone these days. So
like the dome effect, like that the Stephen King TV show where like there's a supernatural force that just kills every signal in the area. One line of dialogue, as Frank says, could make it so that nothing works.
The television remake of this, I think it's the television remake. It was a update. Well, when I say updated, it was like flip phone was the new technology at the time. And I can't remember. I think they just dealt with it of, we're so far out in the sticks, and they're doing the whole thing where you hold your phone up in the air really high because that's going to give you better service. And like they do that, and then like I'm pretty sure because the couple in that movie, he was like an abusive guy, and I think he grabs her arm and the phone breaks or something. I think is how they dealt with that in that film. Okay. It's been years since I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure that's how they dealt with it in the TV remake. Pretty sure.
Yeah, like I think we found because there's a movie I remember in the back of my subconscious. It was a bad sci-fi movie on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's, I think, early 2000s. So I think it was that present day where you might have like a flip phone or something, but again, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're driving out with your buddies your college buddies out to the middle of nowhere, and of course, the first thing they do is the car wrecks. Of course, they run into like a tree, and of course, it doesn't start. I'm like, well, there's that, and of course, we're sitting there like, and they're like, there's a big quarry or something like that. There's a big high spot up there on a rock. He's like, let me go over there and I'll try that, and holding his phone up. I'm like, no, it's not gonna. So it kind of, and they were in the middle of the woods, being chased by a radioactive bear because that.
Even
love it.
Let's be fair. Even to this day, if you're out somewhere, the first thing, there's two things you do if you're trying to get better cell phone service. You do the method where you move it around, or you walk around like an idiot trying to find a couple bars of cell phone service. That's kind of the go-to move. But
you ain't wrong.
I guess technically nowadays you could be like, oh, my phone's not working. Well, let me connect. Hey, does this restaurant have free Wi-Fi? You could also do that in 2024, which kind of lame, but that's a third option.
Yeah, but then all the diner patrons look at you and they're like, "There's no Wi-Fi here." You know what I mean?
What's the Wi-Fi password, Genie? One of those kind of things. Or something? Yeah.
Password 123. Oh,
right. 1, 2, 3. I got the same combination on my luggage.
Right.
There's a little space ball. Anyway, let's have some fun with some trivia here. I'm glad these are check marks. That's really neat. Here's behind the scenes stuff I didn't know. I'll try and act like I'm Frank here. I'll throw a picture up. What do we got? What we got? Let's show Bert's stupid. Oh, that's not Bert. That's Malachi. The picture's so damn small. That was Bert's stupid face. I was getting tired of looking at him. Anyway, on the dashboard of. I'm not dyslexic. I almost said Vert and Bicky, which now they're going to be that.
He's not dyslexic. He's just retarded.
Oh, fuck.
There's the difference.
On the dashboard of Bert and Vicky's car is a copy of Night Shift, the Stephen King short story collection in which Children of the Corn originally appeared. Neat.
Yeah. Probably should have stayed a short story, but, who am I to,
I mentioned there's somewhere They Live was an even shorter. It was like a few page leaflet of a comic strip of an idea, but that actually worked. I was going to say there are some that you can do that with and be successful.
The Black Phone was also a movie, and the movie Arrival and World War Z are all short stories that turned into a movie.
World War Z is a thick book. That's not a short story.
No, it's a story in a book of short stories.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as They Live goes, you can tell that one's stretched pretty thin as well. But that plays better because A, you've got the great John Carpenter making it, and B, you've got Roddy Piper in there carrying the story.
Exactly.
We had Sarah Connor in this, but she ain't no Roddy Piper. Just saying. Sorry. Linda Hamilton or whatever your name is.
She ain't no Sarah Connor either. Speaking of Malachi, Courtney Gains won the role of Malachi by using a prop knife to hold a casting assistant hostage at the audition. He claims that one of the great honors of his career is having hundreds of people, even his son's friends, recognize him as Malachi and confess they found him terrifying. Some admitting that his performance gave them nightmares. Apparently, his own parents were greatly unnerved by him in this film. Well, I mean, that's good praise right there. The only thing I recognize you from is you're that dickhead who tried to cut in between George McFly and trying to do his dance at the Back to the Future
with his mom.
Your ass. With his mom.
I found him more annoying than scary, but I don't know.
I don't know. I could see him being kind of scary. I don't know. He's the one who's kind of working with, yes, but
in this setting, he's scary because he's like every other one of the kids is like half his size and they're 10 years old. Yeah, he's going to be scary in that ride. Just saying. But I mean, he's also not long for this world. If we're going by the rules of, hey, once you hit 18, you're out of here, pal.
19.
So you better enjoy it while it lasts. 19, whatever. So,
I think he's just kind of on a war path. He already knows, well, I'm just gonna.
He knows he doesn't have long, so he's going out in style. Yeah.
You're telling me this is like your president and your vice president here? This is the kid you have that you're trusting to be your second in command. And even Isaac does tell him several times, dude, quit questioning me. Just shut up and do what you're fucking told. I'm like, you're gonna tell that to a ginger who's 6'4" and he's supposed to be
who's running around killing people unsanctioned? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's kind of going off the rails.
If you see an angry ginger running around with a knife, just go the other way. That's the best advice I can give.
Something.
I mean, that's not
going to go well.
It's a good way to get the role.
This is true.
Do a picture. What is this? That's a picture of corn. That'll work. Though real corn was used for most of the filming, polyurethane corn had to be used for the more difficult action sequences. You know, the ones that you got to violently shake, as Tex probably mentioned.
Right? Yeah. You know, you
Fake corn.
have somebody wearing green gloves, shaking the stalks. Ooh, corn monster behind you. You know, whatever. It's fine.
I think the only thing that bugged me in this movie was kind of some of the continuity. I get it. I mean, like, but the problem is when it's like the middle of the damn day, and then all of a sudden it's like dusk,
and it just rolls in night. It's just black. Yeah.
Or yeah, when like the kids say like, "Oh yeah, go across the field right there to that clearing, go past the pump," and it's just nighttime. I'm like, it didn't take you that long to get over there. Come on now.
Or
the only
did you not find it a little bit annoying? He knows these kids took his wife, and he's just whistling through the graveyard, just walking around like it's no. He's not in a hurry. He's not screaming. He's just walking.
They could have sacrificed him by that point.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. Like he's just going around, you know, like it was just a Sunday stroll or something. I don't know. I find that very.
The only thing I noticed was one shot was like they walked up to the corn and it was obviously still green, and then the next shot it was like dead, and then it was green again. Right. Like, okay, that's really distracting. That's really bad. Yeah. It's allegedly the same little part that he walked in and out of, but don't. If you're gonna have fake corn, at least you should use fake corn for the shots where you know you're gonna keep eating it. Right. Get your corn straight, guys. What is this picture? Wow. Oh, look at that. There's how he got his audition. Good for him. This spawned more sequels than any other Stephen King film. I mean, I believe that, yeah.
Well, a lot of his stories are kind of hard to have sequels to when they have definitive endings. So that's
see.
I hate to say you're not going to get a Cujo too because the dog kind of got shot in the face. So Fucci went to the
Cujo, the next generation. It'll be great.
And the car movie, I forget what it's called, Christine. And
well, now hold on. The end of that though, that piece of metal kind of bent back. I'm like,
Hey, no. Technically, there is a remake of Christine, and it's that shit show of Halloween Ends. Because that's all that movie was. Just a bastardized version.
You know what's crazy? I knew you were going to think about that. As soon as I mentioned it, I knew you were going to bring up fucking Halloween.
Well, I mean, you didn't see in the junkyard, right? You didn't see that big cube over there? It's like half of a Plymouth Fury, like kind of crumpled back out.
You know, and just with the various, like Christine, in Christine, the car, kind of, whenever it's coming back to life, it uncrumples itself and whatever. When Michael Myers comes back to life in that movie, he does the same jerky kind of motions as after he gets that first kill. He comes back to life because this movie was garbage, and they just had to spit on the grave of Michael Myers. David Gordon Green, you go to hell, you piece of shit. You fuck you, David Gordon Green. I hate you. So.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Well,
if I did, we wouldn't be on YouTube right now.
I was gonna mention Carrie. I mean, Carrie had some sequels and remakes and shit, but I still don't think it quite compares to how many this one had. That's the only other one I can think of.
Well, see, really. Carrie had The Rage, Carrie 2, and then they did a remake with that girl from Kick-Ass,
Grace Moretz.
Chloe Grace Moretz or whatever.
Moretz, yeah.
So there's been two Carries.
It was like a TV show.
Maybe
before that.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'll tell you the remake I want of Stephen King, and I want it to be just as dumb as the original. And that I want another Maximum Overdrive. That is a horrible movie, but I think it could be fun.
Yeah, that could be fun. Let's do the corn, the cop. I don't know. John Franklin claimed in an interview that years after the film's release, he was with some friends at a restaurant, and a woman at the table next to them recognized him as Isaac, the demonic child preacher. She literally screamed and ran out of the building before coming back and demanding to have her group move to another table.
Oh, my.
I mean, if you already ran out, I don't think you're...
Why are you going back? If you're that scared, you ain't going back in.
No, because like they were in the diner and then she saw this little creepy fucker doing that, just staring at him through the window. Like, I saw the beginning of that movie. No, thank you.
Now, I do, Jeremy. You would know more about this than I do. Is Isaac is he like a emo / goth icon? Because I kind of feel like he looks like one. Like, is he one of the prototypes for you goth people, for the emo crowd?
You goth people.
What do you mean, you people?
You know, that's how a lot of people talk about people from Texas. Just saying, you people.
Oh, hey, that's fine.
Can we say
hey,
shoes?
it's a fair statement. It's a fair statement. It's fine.
You're not gonna tell me that isn't like a spiffy looking little suit. I know he's like 10, but
hey,
this is what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
he was well dressed.
Whenever he's got the hat on and the whole thing, like, he could be walking like he could be one of the Addams family right there. Like, he would fit perfectly. Like,
what is this?
You know?
Oh yeah, there it is. That's the
Isaac. Him and Wednesday Addams are best friends. Like, I guarantee you. Like, just looks wise, they're the same thing.
It's almost like a corporate goth. I mean, he's kind of like, it's dressier, and there's ones with the hats, like kind of like a not vampire, maybe. There's a couple different. I mean, I just saw a thing the other day. It was like 10 different.
Witches tend to wear hats more than vampires do, so maybe like a witch thing or something.
True. There was a few that had like big wide brimmed hats like that, but that's kind of just.
But the thing is that there could be some backstory about that all they have is what's left in the town, and they just make do with what they've scavenged, and that's just what he happens to found, and he can stand out to look like a preacher.
That's true.
Kind of like Job and his sister when they're playing Monopoly. He's like, whenever I grow up, I'm going to have all the money in the world. Like, they're wearing grown-up clothes as they play that game. You know.
And they did mention the preacher, that they said like the cop tried to go to the preacher, right? So they probably went over there after doing the deed in the diner. So he probably then took the clothes off of the preacher in the end. So,
right. I don't know. I wasn't sure if he was like an icon in the emo / goth world. If he was one of the statements, that y'all go by.
That might not be a good example to follow, but that's a good picture for that. For the scene where Vicky dreams of Joseph's body rising up to grab her, Linda Hamilton was told a mannequin was under the blanket because it was too hot that day for a child to be laying in the road. So her terrified reaction when Jonas Marlowe leaps up at her.
Really?
That's nightmare material.
That's funny.
You gotta. Again, I'm somebody who works in the haunt business. I mean, you got to get that scare, and sometimes you got to play with somebody that way. Well, I should have used that picture for it. Damn it. I mean, I believe it is probably too damn hot to be laying on that road, but yeah. That was a good. I mean, there's maybe one jump scare in this movie, and that was it. But that was pretty effective.
You never see him get the dead body out of the trunk, though. They never show that.
That is a very good point.
They do just kind of leave him. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh my God. They're taking the kids and walking away to go to the next town with a body in the trunk of the car.
I mean, obviously,
it's not concerning at all when a cop comes up on that, finds a body in the car, checks the registration. That's not concerning at all. Right there.
That's the whole town, the sheriff, the judge, everybody. He's up on the car.
The blue man or whatever they call it. Yeah. Well, this film, the ending of this film is, well, number one, it's very abrupt. It just comes out of nowhere. They just bash that one girl on the skull with the car door. And then they're just talking about, well, can we stay with you for a week or for a month or ha 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 ha, and then the end, and it's just over. Like there's no resolution whatsoever.
I thought there was gonna be something there where she pops out of the car. I was like, oh, here we go, and you just knocked her out like she was an annoyance. Like, right. All right, let's go, guys.
They could have at least showed them walking away or something. That could have been a better ending, but it's just So not only is there a dead kid in the trunk, it's believable, but that they killed that girl with the car door by bashing her in the skull with it. So there could be 2 dead children in these people's car that they're going to have to account for later.
Speaking of dead bodies, I have a question. So they kill all the adults. Okay. How do they move all the bodies? Where do they put the bodies?
Thank you. Another reason why
because when the
presented the premise,
went into the diner, there was no blood. There were no bodies.
They had 3 years. They could have just kept sacrificing bodies until they started running out. And when the place becomes a regular highway, you get 3 cars a month. You're like, well, we're killing people that come through here.
Nobody looked hungry maybe they're eating them.
Hey, they're eating corn. Hello.
Hey,
the corn for the
have you ever had just corn? You need some protein to go with it. So maybe they're doing some, saw your family, recipes over here. The gas station didn't have any gas, by the way. Just saying. So I mean, maybe there's a tie in here. Maybe they're eating them. That's why.
What?
They could have.
I don't want to. Yeah, now you just like. Oh no, bad touch, Tex. That's just leaving. Like, I'm not even gonna say the phrase, and the phrase I want. I'm not gonna. But damn.
Yeah. No balls.
Yuck.
Questions about the corn. All right. The the film's budget was originally $1.3 million, according to director Fritz Kiersch. But shortly before filming began, Stephen King demanded more money in advance or would not let the studio use his name in the marketing. So they were forced to give King $500,000, thus reducing the budget to a mere $800,000. What a dick.
Yes.
This ultimately led to numerous numerous scenes being altered or scrapped altogether as the crew no longer had the money to pay for them. Kiersch believed that King's this was his way of getting revenge for his script being rejected, which would come back to bite King as the film became one of the most profitable films based on his work thanks to its small budget. Years later, upon learning of King's notorious drug addiction, like that's the secret.
I never heard about it, but I also don't.
Why do you think he writes so many books so damn fast? Get you on that speed, son. King's notorious drug addiction that he struggled with throughout most of the 80s. Kiersch wondered if King simply just didn't want some more drug money. I mean, yeah.
Hey.
Isn't he like mega rich? Like, why does it matter?
He wasn't at that time.
Oh.
Not so much.
Gotcha.
Well, I mean, Cora, have you never seen Maximum Overdrive, the movie that I brought up earlier?
Heard of it. I know you mentioned
it's a Stephen King story. It's the only Stephen King story film directed by Stephen King, and he's even said this multiple times. He was so high during the making of that movie, he doesn't even remember making the film. So he had a legendary.
I think what Rachel said he had some zoomies. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
man.
I mean,
right, real damn fast when you're
on it. It's hell. It worked for John Carpenter's Halloween. I mean, John Carpenter's They Live. There's some directors there's some people that throwing their name on a project is enough to get butts in the theater. So once Stephen King's stories started to hit, people were buying up his catalog for film rights and TV and everything else. That's why there's so many of them throughout the years. I mean, some are better than others. Cujo, Christine. There's a bunch of good ones, but The Shining. But
even though
some of them were just not great. With Stephen King, it's really hit or miss.
With as many things as they made of Stephen King's, it's amazing that he is just doesn't seem to like any of it. It just, I don't know. Like, then why do you bother, man? Like, you're probably getting some money. Yeah, you're getting money out of it, but I'm like, I understand if you want to have a certain vision or something for it, but it's just like he seems to just hate every single thing that's ever been made of his work.
You know how some people can never be satisfied? He's one of those, probably.
I think it's an artist thing because
it might be.
Like, anytime anybody ever does anything with like Frank Miller's Batman, like when they did like Batman v Superman, that was obviously based on the Dark Knight Returns or whatever. Frank Miller's known to be a dick anyways. Another one, Alan Moore, the guy that came up with Watchmen, he has hated anything that has ever been done with the Watchmen that he wasn't involved with in the beginning. I think it's just an artist ego because this is their creation and somebody else is playing with it. But who knows?
I don't know. I appreciate when the actual creative mind behind it's involved, but I'm like, if you're not going to let someone take at least some creative control, I mean, I don't know. Don't be too overlordy about it, I guess. I don't know.
Like shut up about it or do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe that's just from their end. Maybe it's like, hey, screw you, man. We're going to make what we want out of this, and I don't know. Who really has the
Why do you
control
think?
here?
I think probably the best example. Look at John Carpenter with Michael Myers. He didn't plan on that becoming a franchise. Whenever you see Michael fall out of the window in the first film,
that was it.
And he disappears, that was supposed to be it. But it was such a big hit that they literally had to sue John Carpenter to get him to write a script. So he famously bought a 6-pack of beer and wrote Halloween 2 in that time of drinking that 6-pack. And then he burned him alive trying to kill him. And then they went on, with different Halloweens. But of course, they had to bring Michael back because nobody liked Halloween 3 at the time. But some artists, they get attached to a character, and it's just one of those things.
Well said.
All right. Well, I'll get a picture of Isaac again because we can't leave that hat over there. Although Isaac is supposedly a teenager, actor John Franklin was actually 24 years old at the time of filming. Franklin's small stature is due to him being born with a growth deficiency.
Oh.
I could see that because I'm like, if you look at his face, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you weirdly think like he's acting like an adult, but like he's just like a small, like I said,
very mature for his age.
Yeah, and he can carry those scenes pretty well. And I think where's that shot? I just had it. I think that moment right there, I was like, either Malachi is insanely tall or Linda Hamilton is really short. And I think we looked up that Linda Hamilton's like 5'5". Like, okay, so he's about 5'8".
Both of those things are technically right.
Yeah, I think we looked at him now, like the kid playing Malachi as an adult now is like 6 foot something. Like, yeah. If you're telling me he was 18, I'm like, oh no, that child kept growing. And I'm like, Linda Hamilton is an adult, so I'm like, she's a good, like, that's where she's gonna, be the rest of her life. And she is very short, so that threw me the hell out. Like, looking at them,
prior
like,
to me learning who the actual guy was, I thought the kid that played Malachi in this movie was Steven Tyler from Aerosmith's son because they look just alike.
Why?
You know who I thought he was?
Well, seriously, like, put Malachi back up there and tell me that doesn't look like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
I don't know.
Exactly it's the lips. It's the mouth. I could see.
There's a bit of age difference.
There's one shot in particular in the film where, like, he's screaming and his mouth is completely wide open, and it looks like Steven Tyler when he's saying it. Like, they look exactly like one another. He could be his boy, but I don't know. What I used to think.
I thought he was the bully from Christmas Story with the Ralphie and the BB gun.
Yeah,
I thought he was him for a second. I was like, no, that's not him.
Yeah. I don't know. Just prior to being educated about it, I thought he was Aerosmith Jr., but it's all good.
We have Linda Hamilton somewhere. There she is. In the original ending of the story, Linda Hamilton's character of Vicky was killed by the children. She joined, quote, the Blue Man on a cross and had her eyes cut out.
Oh, no.
Well, that would have sucked.
That would have made me like this movie. Had they done that.
You always want people to die.
Well, no, here's the thing. They did put her up there. They gave her the little crown. I was like, oh, crap, there's some stakes here. Is she actually going to die? That'd be kind of wild.
Well, hey.
Nothing.
I always give any film or television show, if you have the balls, like Scream, you see Drew Barrymore. This is a huge star. There's no way she's going to get whacked in the first 5 minutes. What happens? Boom, dead, done. The best horror is when nobody is safe. I keep preaching this until you listen and figure it out. But whatever.
Okay, Sensei.
Yeah, random chance and anarchy. People randomly die, and it's kind of a little more realistic. I mean, honestly, if you if you want to keep that vibe of the beginning of the film where they all just like a fucking hive mind, they all just drink with these adults. I was like, shit. All right,
right.
But we didn't go there. I mentioned it before when I hate when movies do this. When you have a good opening and then the rest of the movie was just like, and then what? Midsummer did that to me. I was like, holy Jesus, Mother and Mary. That was a hell of an opening. And then, we're doing weird cult stuff, I guess, kind of. And we're doing.
There was a lot of chasing in this movie. Let's be honest. A lot of stupid chasing.
This whole genre of horror is called folk horror. is the kind of the subgenre that it's within.
Because
and you have films like Midsommar. Well, not really. It's just kind of the tone. I mean, this is a folky looking film. You look at like Midsommar, The Wicker Man, stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a folk feel and tone to it.
What was that one by Shyamalan? The Village?
Yes.
The Village, yeah. That would be folk horror as well, yes. Yes, it's...
there you go, like Frank said. You can never go wrong adding death to a movie. You can have culty stuff, but at least
that's what I'm saying.
Get some death.
It shows... It ups the stakes in the movie. Holy crap, we just killed, Now, at this time, she wasn't Sarah Connor yet. I mean, hell, Terminator came out, the same year as this?
Same year.
So she wasn't anybody yet, realistically.
Right.
I don't think Linda Hamilton's stars broke until Terminator. I could be wrong, but I don't think
I think so.
But that's what I'm saying. There's no stakes after the first 5 minutes in this movie. It's driving past corn and walking through an abandoned town with some annoying kids. That's the movie. Tell me I'm wrong.
You know what? That looks like a believable summer camp in Ohio. I would know. Anyway, last piece of trivia: the final scene with the protagonist returning to the car and being attacked by Rachel was not in the script. It was added shortly before filming wrapped for one last scare. Linda Hamilton complained to the producers that it made no sense for them to go back to the car and it made the characters look stupid. To which the producer, Donald P. Borchers, replied, "We want the audience to think you're stupid." Well, if I didn't watch a whole hour and a half of, Bert being stupid the entire movie, I mean, geez, I didn't think I would have believed it.
If they would have chopped about 45 minutes out of this thing, it could have been good. But Jesus Christ, it just...
Like we just said, that whole ending made no sense. The thing is, like we said, you gotta get your opening, you gotta get your people invested, get your setup, do your body. But I mean, the hardest thing is ending it. I'm like, so what do you do now? I'm like, I don't know, leave.
And what happened to all the other kids? They don't talk about that. They just take two kids and walk out of town. I know, but where did they go? Aren't we supposed to care?
There's one of the sequels. I think it's one of the sequels that I've watched over the years. I think this is one of them from the 90s, maybe. I can't remember. But it's a direct sequel to this one. It does like a whole Texas Chainsaw timeline thing where they just tie it to the original with a film 20 years later. It's one of those kind of things. But in this sequel, you see I guess, the couple in this film found a phone and they called somebody. Because all of the kids in the town basically get picked up by CPS and they get fostered out or whatever. Mm-hmm. So there is an ending to it. You just don't get it in this movie. It doesn't come for 20 years, but whatever. Still garbage.
Wasn't worth waiting for, I guess.
No, it was not. There's nothing in this franchise worth waiting for. If you have the option of watching Children of the Corn or anything else, watch anything else. That is my recommendation.
There's so much passion behind you saying that's garbage.
It is. This is. It is bull. Okay, Children of the Corn has more movies than Freddy Krueger does. Tell me how the hell that's.
I've never seen Freddy Krueger movies, so I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm very serious.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I had never seen Halloween until he and I watched it. Ever.
Yeah, she had never seen Halloween. I had to show her Halloween.
We watched the Bob Briggs version, though. We watched the Bob Briggs version.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's fair.
But it's just, how does Children of the Corn have more movies than so many horror icons?
I guess to be fair, I don't know if it's really a horror movie. I don't know if it's a horror movie, but like Frank said, I think he did some Googling. Children of the Corn came out before Terminator, but in the same year, like we were saying.
That's what I thought.
In the Terminator franchise, you know what I mean? Speaking of a franchise being time warped to death or whatever the hell you want to call it. That's there's the classic line, because you make them for bus fare. Yeah, or for
that's what I said that earlier. I said that for $15 and a hot dog. I said, but I mean, literally, your scary monster is corn stalks that you shake real scary, and the corn monster is going to get you. It's all in your head. This is the problem with Stephen King. He just
not only that, but also like we said for bus fare, but also to for him to go skiing on the slopes of
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
Stephen King's over there riding the white pony, looking at crap inside of his house to make evil. Oh, I'm gonna make an evil lamp story and make $50 million. So that's literally all Stephen King does.
I know.
Stephen King. I mean, you and I talked about this before we went live, but he's hit or miss. I mean,
do you think? I think he should just stick to the books, and none of it should have made into movies.
He should. He can come up with great stuff like it. The Shining is tremendous, but then you get a lot of stinkers in there. This is the evil toaster book. This will be great. Whatever.
Did you say the evil toaster book?
I don't. Hey,
I'm just doing. Hey, this is what Stephen King does. Stephen King would make that. Stephen King would write a book about a possessed toaster that kills somebody.
There's a kid movie that I loved, The Brave Little Toaster, where there's a lamp.
There you go.
You turn that into a horror movie. The lamp kills the kid, and the toaster. It is all. Yeah,
directed by Stephen King. It'll be horrible. Nobody will watch it.
From Pooh, Blood and Honey. We'll make that into. We'll just keep ruining childhood and stuff.
Yeah.
Creepy. Whatever. Who cares?
Ruin Brave Little Toaster. Come on, I dare you.
Oh, I could. Trust me.
No, it's Stephen King. Stephen King is a great idea, man. He just he doesn't know how to land the plane when it comes to his stories.
Well,
like he's always known for that, but it's just. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess if you
we're believing in the
I guess if you throw enough
vision. We can do something brave.
Yeah, hey. Stephen King, I guess if you throw enough crap against the wall, you're going to get a lot of stinkers, but there'll probably be enough good ones that people praise you overall. He's kind of playing the numbers.
He have gotten it out there to a different medium of people who watch movies, and you start thinking oh, what else has this guy done? Oh, he made a movie about a dog that kills people with rabies. Oh, it's a car that kills people. There's some girl who gets bullied in high school, and she just telekinetics them all into oblivion.
Which is the perfect allegory for women being evil. I mean, that's really. I mean, realistically,
bad touch, Tex.
Hey,
a lot of bad touch. Come on,
I didn't make the movie. He did. Blame them. I didn't.
Did he really?
Whatever.
He not have. Anyway.
Well, okay. Technically, he didn't make the movie, but he made the movie possible. We'll say that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's all the trivia I've got. So, I guess we'll just move. We'll go right on to final thoughts. I'll go with you first, Cora. So, just for your first time, either today or yesterday, what did you think of the movie?
It was okay. I won't watch it again, but I'm trying to knock off a list of movies that everybody else has seen, and that over 40 I haven't. So, I checked the box off my list today. There you go.
I don't know if we're really the good baseline for that because we've seen more than most people. But yeah. Tex, what did you think? Your final thoughts on Children of the Corn?
This movie can go shuck itself.
There it is. That doesn't deserve a like and a follow. Come on.
I'm giving you some applause, Tex. Good job.
Right.
This movie doesn't deserve any more of my time. That's all I have to say.
This is why people come back. And actually, speaking of people coming back, I was going to say some minor news. Well, not minor, but some news. We passed 700 subscribers, which is awesome. Ooh. We're sitting at 705 right now. And the most important part is that we're beating Thurman. So
705.
Speaking of, by the way, I have proudly gone on to 3 of his live streams in the last 10 days and promoted Frank's channel, put the link in the chat, and fucked with him.
We're doing the work.
And I'm calling him out. Casey, you fucking said live just the other day, I've only done that to you once. Fucking liar. Just saying.
Well, anyway,
you're a repeat offender, buddy.
Oh boy, the words "repeat offender" and Casey's name are often in the same sentence, probably.
Well,
that poor kid. I'm fucking with you, man. We love him here, even though it may not look like it. For me, honestly, I don't hate this movie. I think again, it was a good idea. It had a premise that could have been better fleshed out, or maybe been a little more, I don't know. I think you could have contained this, like some Stephen King movies where, like we said, it's like The Shining. It's a pretty well, start finish. That's That's a good story. Now we can move on. Okay, there's a dog. There's a car. There's a teenage girl. There's the toaster lamp or wherever the book, whatever the hell text said. There's probably a million of them.
The brave little toaster coming 2025.
All right. Well, yeah. What did he say? He said up there, we'll make a horror movie for nothing. We can make it stop motion.
Oh my god. Oh no.
Since I'm the one running this thing, I have no idea, or I didn't pay attention to what Thursday is. But
I don't know either, by the way.
Oh,
so, I mean, I don't know. I guess
we'll be here.
That's
Come
kind
back?
of yeah.
Frank,
I mean,
if you're in the comments, Frank, if you're in the comments, you can let everybody know what Thursday is.
Right.
We're letting him down so bad right now.
I
know he's shaking his head, you motherfuckers.
I mean, I guess. I mean, we can do outros. Since I don't know what's going on Thursday, Cora, where do the people find you on the internet?
I'm allergic to it. I come here sometimes. Tech scares me enough that I just stay off everything for the most part.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me for you being a pussy. It's not my fault.
Wow. I'm going to let that one sink in so everybody knows what kind of man you are.
Oh. Anyway, Tex, where can people find you on the internet? Hopefully not in somebody's with a chainsaw.
Send hate mail to Tex.
Oh, that'd be sweet. No, I will be here, hanging out, talking. I mean, obviously, we're up to 700 subscribers, well, over 700. So thank you to the new people. I'm the blood and guts, nasty guy that I did. Anytime I'm really coming to play around October, that's when my star shines brightest. So I'll really show that. So, yeah, we'll be here Thursday.
We know you're a zombie. We know.
Oh yeah, I'm like this close to being a member of the Firefly family, so it's all good. Either way, yeah, we'll be here Thursday reviewing something. Just come back then; it'll be fun. Yeah, no worries.
Yep, same with me. I mean, my horror stuff starts. Well, it never stops, but it starts up again in the middle of like July. So y'all be back be back on my bullshit again, scaring people.
It's not bullshit. It's an artistic expression.
You'll be it's better than me. Holy guacamole out of all the little kids, sooner than later. It'll be great.
Yeah, I tried to sound like a prick when I said I'm an actor,
but you do acting.
I know. I'm that weird creative type where I'm like I try not to
take it too seriously.
I do have the character I play. I literally play Satan, so I do have to have the ego bigger than the room and all the people in it. But you know what I mean. I try to be cool about it. Yeah, no, I'll be back here Thursday doing whatever the hell it is we do.
Hopefully Frank won't be slacking off and making us watch shitty movies for him to not be here to have to review. I'm calling you out, Frank.
If we're still doing horror, hopefully, we can get some good ones in here.
Frank was his work kept him, unfortunately, folks. That's why he's not here. So we were happy to hold the. Hopefully try not to mess the house up too much while Dad's away. So.
While Dad's away. Good night.
We had to hold this whole show together with duct tape. But hey, that's what we do here.
What?
Hey, I'm trying my best, all right?
You did a great job. Give yourself some fucking credit, okay?
All right.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
Well, speaking of credits, we're going to roll credits. That's pretty much going to be it for us.
I have to say something real quick. Squirrel moment.
What do you want to say? What?
Okay. Casey, on his channel, at the end of his shows, he rolls credits and it just says, by myself, by myself, by myself, by myself. Like for 20 different roles. It's fucking insane.
By himself.
Yes.
So that's not the whole thing. He does by himself.
Director, writer, all of it. Yeah. He credits himself.
We're the whole kit and caboodle. We'll see you guys Thursday with whatever movie we're doing. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
This movie is really great for, using protection when you get laid, so you don't have kids like this.
Oh my
this
God.
Is a perfect birth control movie, I will say.
Wow.
Show this movie to your children before they go on dates.